Welcome back, everyone. We are here, back on the sandy beaches of Bert's Paradise. And today, we've got a big project that we're going to start to undertake, and it's going to really take us to the next level. Before I can get to that, though, I do need to do some maintenance with our existing villagers over here. So, in between episodes, I've kind of built this little holding pen, and I've bred up the villagers a couple times because I needed a few workers to get me the rest of what I need to get started before I build this, breeder and trading hall. So, right now, I've got an armor, I've got a toolsmith, a Fletcher, the stonemason, and I've got a couple of librarians to get us the basics for what we need, so that I can, have access to everything in case I perish. So now I'm just building this kind of chamber here, and we're going to use this to move them back and forth and cure them a few times so that we can get the trades down to hopefully 1 emerald for a lot of them. But you can see we've got quite a few here, which is good. Now, the big plan for today is to build their final resting place, where they'll have their workstations and they'll have all their friends with them. So in order to do this, I'm going to cure them a few times, get a few more items. I think I have a few blocks to get started, but ultimately that will be the goal of this episode. So yeah, we're just going to move these guys in place. And similar to last time where I just move them close like that until the zombie can hit me, they'll be in range. If I can get a couple boats there, then I'll be able to get all 6 of these guys in there and kind of cure them over and over again, get their trades down, so that, like I said, I can get the rest of my diamond gear and then a little bit more goodies from the stonemason in order to start our build. And we're moving number 3 into place. Took a little while, but we got him. Ouch. This is why I need full diamond armor. My iron armor is probably pretty low at this point, but yep. So we're just gonna sit them right here, try and get all of them in eventually. But then we just need to get out of sight so that they can do their thing. There they are. And 1 trip to the nether, and I had enough gold to make the golden apples that we need to cure these guys. So, I'm going to go do that now. I'm going to have to get a gold farm sometime soon, because I don't like going back into the nether, and I don't really feel like mining a whole lot at the moment. So, let's go ahead and move our friend Mr. Zombie over here out of the way, so that I can cure these folks. So the rail is actually going to serve 2 purposes. I'll be able to move this guy back and forth in the interim to cure these guys. But if he somehow gets out, he's too tall to cross over the rails. So I don't have to worry about him attacking the villagers over here and having them burn because there's sunlight. So, earphone warning. For all the earphone listeners out here, we're about to cure these guys, and it's going to be very, very loud. So let me go ahead and do this, make a bit more progress, and we will cut back shortly. All right, and where are these cured zombies, you may ask? Well, I am out here grabbing sticks because they've been cured, and I need some emeralds. So we're going to go back, and you'll see the progress that we've made. I saved you all the boring little details of carting them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And now we just need to do a lot of trading. So our Fletcher here has got all the emeralds we need, so we want to get all of those from him. And then our stonemason, we need lots of red terracotta. Our armor is going to be important because we don't have full diamond armor. So I'm going to want to get full diamond armor just so we can be protected while building. So that's going to be kind of my main goal here. And then any leftover emeralds will be used to get some red terracotta. We'll need some black concrete, and we'll need some nether quartz as well. Luckily, we don't have to go to the nether because our stonemason has a good trade for that. So let's just get all of these guys in place. And I see our librarian is already going to join us, which is perfect. That will help with the conversion process so we can get all their trades lowered. Great. 5 out of 6 is not bad. So I'm going to leave them here for the time being. And then we're going to start building their trading hall inside of our big ship. Can't remember if I've said it yet, but yes, we are building a ship, hence the name of this episode. We're going to make a lot of progress today, but I figured it would be fitting, since we've got this big old ocean out here, to build a ship, and that will be their trading hall / breeding grounds. I have quite a few reasons for that, but before I get into that, let's just go ahead and clear out this guy's trades so I can get the last couple unlocked. Thank you, sir. And then this should give us, perfect, full diamond armor, which is what we need. Not too concerned about what comes on it, because I'll probably be unenchanting it, but I will take respiration. That is nice to begin with. And yeah, so let me get to trading, and then I will cut back in a little bit. All right, so it's been a little bit, and you can see I've got a massive map out here, because we are at the spot that the villager trading hall will be built. Now, I've got this kind of block as a reference of about where I want things to go, and so just kind of like lining things up here. But there's a couple reasons I want to build it out here. The main reason is because it's a wide open ocean. There's not going to be many things that spawn around here, which is nice. It's going to mean that nearby I can build a mob farm that will get some pretty decent drops. I'm not going to try and super max it, but I didn't want to build a mob farm over land and have to light up all the caves. At least this will give me a good starting point to build a decent mob farm. And I want it to be close to the villager trading hall, since I anticipate I will be spending quite a bit of time there. That way I can AFK, but if I don't AFK, I'm still earning some mob drops. So, not sure what those buildings are going to be. Maybe a lighthouse of sorts, since we're on the water. But yeah, so I'm going to get this set up here, these couple of dirt blocks, and I'm probably going to have to go back and sleep. But yeah, we're going to get this boat going. That I did some exploring, and you saw with that big map that there's quite a bit of space out here. So this is going to be like a shipping lane. I think that's pretty realistic to what we could have given the landscape and given how big the water is. And then over here can be like our rural village that we're going to have in the future. But this is a good starter spot. So we're going to just kind of take advantage of what we have here. Okay, so here's the map, and you can see just the scale of this. That green dot's where we are, but this is kind of that shipping channel that I was talking about. So we're going to build that ship out here, again, with our mob farm nearby. So let's go out and let's actually get that started. I've got quite a bit of red terracotta here, quite a bit being just a stack. I've got some dirt, and then we're going to use this to kind of outline what we're going to make. Now, on to the fun part, what we are going to make. I've got to give credit where credit is due, because Brea, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, has made a really cool model, and I've linked it in the description here. It's pretty fantastic looking, very realistic, and it actually feels pretty to scale. I did some messing around in creative, and it feels like a perfect size, and I've done some calculations to make sure it can fit the proper number of villagers as well. So please do check it out, and I'm not sure if they have any socials. If they do, I will link them in the description below. Otherwise, just want to give them a shout out, because they did a fantastic job building this, and it's better than I could have even dreamt of. So it's going to be facing parallel to the shore, and I'm going to just build some scaffolding here with dirt just to give myself a reference line. It's not a complicated build by any means, but this will help kind of give me a good look at the size of this thing before it starts to take shape, and, you know, again, that reference point as we build. So this should be good. And then this is going to be where the bow of the boat is, and I'm going to start to build it out here in a second, but yeah, the bow is going to be on that side, the stern is going to be towards this drowned here in that direction, and this drowned is actually a really good sign. Even though we're in, I believe, an ocean, I got to check the biome. Because we're seeing him, it means, I think I saw it over there, an area where they can spawn, which is good, because I'm eventually going to want to get a trident. And so hopefully when I'm building this, one of them will be very kind to me, and they will drop a trident, so I don't have to go looking too hard for one. All right, and the block placing has began. This isn't going to really look like much at first. This portion of the bow is actually the underwater portion, and it's got this like protrusion at the front. I'll have to look up what it's actually called, the technical term for it, but this is kind of like the very, very front end of the boat, and I believe it is like an aerodynamic thing, or I guess water aerodynamics, to break through the water, I think. I'll have to look it up. I'll probably comment above when, you know, make a caption correcting myself, but, you know, feel free to correct me if you do know what the purpose of this is. But this is kind of like what cuts through the water at the bow of the boat. So I'm going to go ahead and start placing a few more of these blocks, and we're going to cut back when I've made a bit more progress. And now that we have everything we need to start, we're gonna do this outline. So I don't quite have replay mod installed just yet. I've been kind of playing around a little bit with, I think, what will work. I mean, I've got it technically installed, I just haven't used it that much, so I gotta play around with it. So for this episode, we're just gonna kind of do a voiceover as I build. So this is me in post, kind of talking about this build. But we're just going to kind of splice it together and kind of give you an idea of what I was going through as I built this. It did take quite a while, quite a few hours actually, just gathering the materials and making sure we had everything. Lots of math involved, you know, lots of counting, which was kind of fun. I actually do enjoy that, and it's kind of nice when you can get things to line up. But we're just going to cut through a few different angles here of the frame. So what I have here, and the way I kind of approach this, is we're building the very most outside of the hull itself. And with this outline, we'll be able to then build down and build what is under the water. So we're actually, if you can see right here, we have half the boat. We're going to build down, and I have to clear out all of this kelp, and then we're going to actually have to clear out all the water, which shouldn't be too bad. I don't think we'll need sponges. I'm probably just going to use sand and gravel, because I'm going to need that anyway for my black concrete. And if I can start with this red outline and of the hull, we can kind of get to a good place. Now, I do have a little bit of concrete because I do want to build up at least like 1 or 2 blocks so I can get a good sense of how things are looking. But yeah, this is kind of like gives you an idea of the scale that we're going to go for. I think it's pretty realistic, actually. So again, shout out to Brea, who did this model. Fantastic job. And I do really want to make sure that I give credit where credit's due, because I could not come up with this myself. I'm not a realistic builder, so this is kind of outside of my typical builds here. But yeah, going with some black concrete here on the outside, I think it's a really good contrast. You know, you got your typical red red hull with the black paint. And we're going to use concrete for this because I think it doesn't really need a texture. The black paint really kind of doesn't wear too much on a ship. And then we're going to actually do the detailing, the white parts, the letters, and like it's got a stripe on it. I'm sure you've probably already checked out the link. If not, please do. But there's a stripe down the middle with some smooth quartz blocks. And I chose that for a reason because it's got some texture to it. When I look at boats in real life, the black really doesn't show wear unless it's got, some buildup of some like brine and barnacles and stuff. What does show wear though is like the white paint. And if you get close enough to smooth quartz, it's not perfectly white. It's actually got a little bit of extra color and texture in there. And so I actually think it's really good. It'll look like the ship has some wear and tear on it. But I'm going to have to do a little bit more to kind of like play around with it, I think, because I want to be able to, I don't want this to just look brand new. Again, I'm going for that touch of realism, not like hyper realistic, but just, enough so it doesn't look like I'm just building, a toy ship, if that makes sense. So, yeah. And then right here, I was just thinking, hey, what if I start to build out, like, this dirt, then I can walk around. But then I was like, oh, yeah, I got to clear the water anyway, so that's kind of moot. But, this is that front portion of the boat that we finished, and we're going to start building out here. And we got to go down. And I can place blocks all over the place because I'm a professional like that. It'll help if I have aqua affinity eventually. But yeah, so this is going to kind of really come together now. I might cut some of this through to a quicker time lapse, but I kind of wanted to leave some of it in because sometimes you when you see a time lapse, you kind of lose just how long it takes when you've got a reference and you're just placing blocks. And it makes me appreciate what the bigger YouTubers do. When they get this going, because all of them have their professional time lapses, and it just looks incredible. And I'm kind of in awe going through this myself. I've built quite a few big builds, but trying to record this has kind of humbled me a lot. Because just placing those like 4 blocks, getting attacked by a drown, and then now like I've made very little progress. But some people make it look so professional, and it's so cool. So I think I want to leave a little bit of this in here just to kind of show real time. Like this takes a long time, and truly appreciate the time lapses when we do get them. All right, cut through to a few days later, and we have a bunch of clay smelting. So our stonemason was kind enough to give us a bunch of red terracotta, but I needed a bit more, so I may or may not have done some exploring. We've got a ton of dye, a ton of terracotta, and this should be enough to finish the rest of the hull. I was trying to get the outline done, and I got about half of it done before needing more, so I spent a few days actually collecting all of that. And so let's get back to it here. Back to future Bert. We've got all of the terracotta that we need. And I'm just going to cut through of me placing the blocks here. I think we got a good sense of that, of just how long it was taking before. And, I'm just going front to back, placing blocks, looking at the reference. And it's really starting to come together. It's a big build, and it's a realistic build, so I feel like there's not much room for error here, and I really want to make sure to do this build justice, and I want it to look good if this is going to be where we spend a lot of time. So and in typical Minecraft fashion, it is raining 24/7. Oh, nice geode there. I forgot about that. That'll be good. So that I can actually probably make a geode farm there. Didn't even think about that when I was recording this, but it's a good spot in post. So yeah, I've got the front, and I've got that middle section here. There's actually a line that goes down the middle, so place that as kind of a guide. And this was actually like a little bit more tricky than I thought, because typically like when I build something this big, I build it in creative first, and I did do that with this, but you know, I was kind of forgetting just like, you know, how unforgiving it is when you misplace a block or you accidentally place something wrong. Now I'm gonna cut it out in this footage, but I may have left in. I actually messed up one of the sides here, and I didn't get it perfectly mirrored, and I got all the way done with the hull, and I had to go redo one entire half of the side. So if that stays in, that's why it is. But you know, as I was saying, like, you know, in creative you can just like punch blocks real quick and make it work. But when you're in survival and doing it, man, does it suck when you misplace something. So, yep, here's me. I've got this full side done and the bottom, which, again, this took a long time. And then, you know, cut to me finishing up what you just saw was already finished. This is me replacing all of those blocks, actually, because I could not get them to line up in the back. I was, in fact, one block off. So this will be kind of like the finishing portion of it, kind of pulling it all together towards the stern. And yeah, it's gonna really start to take shape here in the next couple clips. But yeah, so I guess like as we finish this up, enough talk about the process of building this and more about what I plan to put inside. So I already said I'm gonna have a trading hall. I'm also gonna have a villager breeder. And so this shipping container is going to have 3 floors. It's going to have the top floor, which is, you know, just on top of the boat. And I kind of want to put like just a pile of ores or some sort of cargo on there. I don't want to do shipping containers because, you know, they're just kind of blocks. And I want to do something like a little bit like different. And so I think I'm going to do a pile of ores that I just don't mine. I think that could be cool. On the middle floor is where the breeder and the trading hall will be, with a small storage system so that, you know, I can have all of the items I need on hand most of the time, because I do plan on spending quite a bit of time here. And then in the bottom floor, I'm going to have a few farms. So it's going to be necessary to have a bunch of farms to kind of keep these things going, like a melon pumpkin farm, sugarcane farm, stuff like that. But I don't need like chests and chests and chests full of the stuff, just enough to trade with these villagers. And then if I need something truly at scale, I can build something a little bit bigger. But the plan here is just to kind of have something, so as I'm trading with these villagers, I'm kind of getting the most out of my time. That way I can have the resources. You know, if I need to come grind away and do some trading, I should at least get some resources for it. So yeah, that is the main plan. And then the main deck of the ship is actually going to house the breeder itself. So, you know, where the captain would stand steering the boat, if I stand on top of that in this world, that's going to be on top of the breeder. And so that breeder then is going to produce our villagers that go down to that second floor. And then it should be pretty well lit, but I've actually come up with a way to spawn-proof this. I did some testing in a creative world, and I'm going to carpet the entire top half of it. And, you know, it might sound like a no-brainer, but actually, like, I was trying to figure out what texture would match, like, a dirty-ish, you know, top floor of a boat, and gray wool, like gray carpet, actually had a pretty nice texture and looked pretty good. So that's gonna prevent farms from spawning. But yeah, as you can see here, I've finished up the entire hull. So yeah, lots and lots of work. This took hours and hours and hours, way more than I'm cutting it down. So I'm actually going to cut it here then. Hope you guys have enjoyed a little bit more of a talking building episode, and I'll catch you in the next one.